Hello and welcome to the Mordian Mondays. This is episode 82, and this week, guys, we're going to dive straight into the hobbying front before we get to the forward look and the tactics and whatnot. So what have I been working on this week? Well, I've been painting up an absolute shed load of my Black Templar armour. Very interesting. You see, normally my Black Templars are more of an infantry army, but I decided I've got a pile of shame as long as my arm. And a good half of that is Black Templar stuff that I got either in a big bundle or something that I bought and built and sort of built but never used, or just it's still sat in boxes. So I thought, you know what? Let's get it all done. Let's get it all done. And there's a couple of reasons here. One, I want to modernise the army a little bit, and we'll get into that later on. Two, I want to get to my backlog. I'm struggling to justify buying more Warhammer until I've at least made a dent in what I already have. And number three is I want to be able to bring greater variety to my battle reports. You see, I've got lots of guard armies, and hell, I've got a G-Syndicate army, which is kind of like a guard army, but with a different skin colour and an extra arm. And I have a Black Templar army, but it's very much an 8th edition army, shall we say. And it does not translate well into 9th edition. Again, we'll get to that in a little bit later. So I figured, you know what? I want to stick with the Firstborn theme. I am not yet ready, and I don't know if I ever will be ready, to transition to Primaris. I know a lot of people love Primaris. I know probably overall Primaris are better. But if there's one chapter that can do the whole Firstborn thing properly, it's the Black Templars. Because their power armour is only 15 points per guy. So, unlike a Tactical Marine versus an Intercessor, which is only a 2-point difference, I believe, there's a 5-point difference between a Crusader and a Primaris Intercessor. And that's a big deal. That's 25% cheaper. And for your 25% cheaper, you will lose an attack, fair enough. But you won't lose a wound anymore, so okay. And your bolt gun is a bit worse, but not that much worse, because obviously the bolter itself is, it's AP nothing. But the moment you jump into that tactical doctrine, which you'll be in for 2 turns, you'll be AP -1. So it's not too bad. It's got an AP then. It is a worse gun. It is 1 less attack, but it's okay. Like, it's not the end of the world. So I figured that's fair. If you go do Firstborn, let's do it with Black Templars, right? Because those guys got the best power armor, sort of Firstborn power armor, I should say. So yeah, so I thought, you know what? Let's get this Black Templar stuff done. And I have a boatload of, I have a pile of shame as long as my arm, and a good half of that, at the very least, like a hand of that arm, is marine stuff. Is marine stuff. I had 3 built and unpainted for 2 years Razorbacks. Well, two proper Razorbacks, and one's a Predator that I can use as either or. I had another Razorback sat in a box. I had a Rhino sat in a box. Now, admittedly, it was a Chaos Rhino, but I just didn't put any of the Chaos bits on it. We'll get to it in a second. I had 2 Land Speeders just sat there, and I have a Storm Talon just sat there. So that's a lot of vehicles. What's that? Like 5 Razorbacks, 2 Land Speeders, and a Storm Talon. What, like 8 vehicles? That's a bit of a that's bad. That's just 8. That's just bad. So I figured, you know what? Let's get them done. Let's get them done, and let's get them done quickly, and in a tabletop, to a paint scheme that is tabletop standard. It doesn't have to be Golden Demon winning. And it's not my Mordian, so I don't feel obligated to paint to the absolute best of my ability. I just feel like my Black Templars need to have a decent colour scheme, and so that's what I went for. And so this week I got painted up 3 of those 8 vehicles. I got painted up 3. I got painted the first 2 double heavy bolter Razorbacks, and I also got painted up the Predator, which I can use as my 3rd Razorback. Now, the interesting thing with this Predator is that I actually had, it's one of these weird things. I had the las cannon turret from the Predator, but that doesn't look quite like a Razorback turret, but it is what it is. But what was also interesting is I had a spare that someone just gave me at one of my first tournaments I went to, like 8 years ago. Just a third-party double assault cannon Razorback turret. Someone gave it. I don't know what brand it is. I don't even think they make it anymore. It was just given away in a goodie bag at a tournament, and someone didn't want theirs, and I had missed out on a goodie bag. So someone was like, "Oh, you missed out on a goodie bag, and I don't want this Razorback turret. You can have it." And I was like, "Amazing!" And it's just sat there, basically unused. I built it, never painted it. It sat there unused, and now it's like, "Oh, that's great," because I don't have, if you think I've got three proper Razorbacks and a Predator, but that Chaos Rhino that I haven't got a picture of it now, but that I have converted by not putting the Chaos bits on it into a Loyalist Rhino, that wouldn't have a turret, but now it does, because from that kind person that just gave me their double Razorback turret all that time ago. So, but I painted them up as 3 Razorbacks for now. And I've painted up both the Predator turret and I've painted up that third-party assault cannon turret, which you can see on the picture now. It's kind of cool, really. So yeah, I got those 3 built, not built, they're already built, base coated and painted this week. And I also got built, not painted, but got built, the other Razorback, the proper Razorback, the Chaos Rhino, which is now not a Chaos Rhino, it's an Imperium Rhino, and one of the land speeders. And I intend, after recording and uploading this video, to get the other land speeder done. And I intend, for next week, and I'm committing to this now, I'm gonna try and get 2 Razorbacks and 2 land speeders done by next week. And if I can get the bonus round of getting 2 Rhinos, 2 Razorbacks, 2 land speeders, and the Storm Talon done, that'll be fantastic. So that's what I've been working on hobby-wise. It's been very productive. Now, tactically, that's the hobby side of things. One thing to mention is all of these vehicles were in some way upgraded using the vehicles that are on screen. Were upgraded in some way using the Black Templar upgrade kit. So I had basically 2 kits to spread out between 3 vehicles. So one of the Razorbacks got the Black Templar those side hatches that you see, the ones that are in red. They're Black Templar upgrade side hatches, and the front of the Rhino as well. If you notice, the one that's got like the big Templar cross on the front of it, and then like the sort of the bronze banner to the right, that is also a Black Templar upgrade bit. So basically, one of the Razorbacks got both the side panels and the front panel, and then the other 2, one got the side panels and the other one got the front panel. The Predator got the front panel because I figured it has to have. You can't have the side panels because I still need to leave room for the sponsors, which I have base coated, and I will be having them stored in a drawer somewhere so that sometimes I can just have a Predator. I know it's not great, but a Predator's a Predator at the end of the day. It's neither great, it's not entirely terrible. It's 4 las cannons. You can't go wrong too much with 4 las cannons on like a 160-point platform. Yeah, it's okay. So you might be thinking, well, Morning Glory, why are you doing this? Well, we'll get on to the tactics now. It's going to sound a little salty, but it's not salty. It's an objective observation. My personal Black Tide army is suffering somewhat in 9th edition. It doesn't translate well from 8th to 9th. Because, for those that don't know, Crusader squads are only 15 points per power armor guy, or an initiate, as it's officially called. But it's 14 points for a scout equivalent, or neophyte, which is only 1 point difference. So the problem with that is that for 1 point more, I get a guy with a better save, I get a guy with a better leadership, and I get a guy who has an Astartes chainsword rather than just a combat blade. So not only does he get an extra attack, but he also gets an extra AP. So it's a bit difficult to really and an extra wound. And an extra wound, if I didn't say that already, because scouts have only got 1 wound. So you've got the extra wound, the extra armor, the extra leadership, and the extra AP for 1 point more. There's no real point in taking neophytes unless you want to take a maxed out 20-man blob, because you can take 10 neophytes and 10 initiates, or 10 power armor, 10 scouts in one squad. So that's the only reason you would take them. But it's just not really worth it. There are some stratagems you can use where they can double tap a 24-inch range if you use the Space Marine Codex, but it's not really worth it. So, and the problem is that my Black Tide army is pretty much straight down the middle, 50% scouts, 50% power armor. And I built them so that the power armor guys had the plasma gun, the combi plasma, and the power sword, because you can take an extra power sword in the Black Templar list. And then just 2 basic power armor guys. And then I had 5 of scouts with combat weapons essentially in each squad. But those scouts are bad now, so that means it drops me down to just want to use power armor guys. But that means I only have half the power armor guys that I need. And the worst bit is that they changed Black Templar's Crusader squads. They used to be able to take a power sword and a special weapon and a combo weapon on the sergeant in a 5-man unit. And now they can still take the combi weapon and the power weapon on the sergeant, but you have to pick between your plasma gun and your special and your special weapon and your power weapon at 5 models. So you can no longer take 5-man really well equipped squads. They're basically like tactical mean equivalents, but they're 3 points cheaper, so it's okay. So it's a bit of a shame because I can't simply just take the scouts out. So I probably will need to at some point just bite the bullet and buy 30 more tactical marines and upgrade them to Black Templar style. I'll probably just have to do that. I'll probably just have to do that. So that's something to look forward to, because then I can run I can replace the scout. I have 60 power armor guys because I have a few spare. So I have 60 power armor guys. If I add 30 more, and I can take 90. And that is, taking into account general nitrogen points increase and stuff, that is enough for me to run my Black Tide 90 power armor bodies, each 10-man squads, each squad with power sword, another power sword on the sergeant, and a special weapon and a combi weapon on the sergeant. So that's how I want to run it. But in the meantime, I have these Black Templar vehicles. I personally think that mech is going to come back in a big way post recent FAQs and whatnot, recent changes to the way secondaries work. Razorbacks at the beginning of 9th gave away 3 points. They gave away 2 for Bring It Down, and you could stack Thin the Ranks on top of them as well. So that meant they gave away 3 points. Now they give away 1 point. So Razorbacks only give away 1 point, which makes them unique among marine transport vehicles, aside from the Rhino. Because the firstborn vehicles, like the Razorback and the Rhino, have only got 10 wounds each. But the Primaris vehicles, because they're all tougher for some reason, have got extra wounds. Which means that the Primaris Impulsor has got 11 wounds, which means it gives away 2 Bring It Down points. So the thing with my firstborn that I'm thinking is, let's mech up. Let's take as many 5-man squads in Razorbacks as I like. In fact, what would happen if I took like 8 or 9 squads? Oh yeah, I'll probably just start with 5 to be fair. But the point is, if you took 9 squads of 5 men in 9 Razorbacks, that would only be at best 9 Bring It Down points for your opponent to deal with. And it's like, okay, well, most secondary objectives that can't score at least 10 are considered subpar. So if you only score 9 Bring It Down points, that's not really a great pick against your army. And even with the new No Prisoner secondary, which goes off wound counts, 9 squads of 5 Marines each is again only 9 No Prisoner points. So even if I'm rocking up the battlefield with 9 Razorbacks and 9 squads in those Razorbacks, I'm only giving away 9 Bring It Down points, 9 No Prisoner points. So that's really, really big. That's really big. Now, I know Razorbacks aren't core, so they would suffer from that. But, then you start opening up opportunities outside of Black Templars. And I'm happy, especially in a tournament, or even for a battle report, I'm happy to run my Black Templars as just, Black Marines or whatever, Don't know what, it doesn't really matter. Just, Black Power Armoured Marines. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm happy to run them as whatever. They can identify as whatever they want to be as for the purposes of trying to run a stronger, more competitive list. My Mordian Guard don't really run a Mordians anymore. My Steel Legion don't use the Steel Legion traits anymore. We have custom regiment traits now and custom chapter tactics. Let's lean into that. And so if you look at things like, I think it's, I have a Marine book, but I don't have it to hand, but there is one custom regiment trait, or custom chapter trait I should say, that lets you reroll 1s with bolt weapons. Well, heavy bolters are bolt weapons, and I could put a heavy bolter on every single one of my Razorbacks. That gets around the issue of Razorbacks not being caught, because they could just inbuilt reroll ones on their own, on themselves. So that's pretty cool. That's like they were caught, but now they don't even need to be babysit by a captain anymore, which makes them even better, right? And then, or I could take them as twin las cannon Razorbacks across the board. You know, if I want to spend 10 points more per transport. You know, and I'm willing to put the money in to give them the best weapon options. You know, and that's something I'm going to do another video on later this week. Keep an eye out for the Thursday after action report. It's going to be a doozy, by the way. But the point is that I could then start looking at Master Artisan. So I've got double las cannon Razorbacks. Every single one is re-rolling one of those las cannon shots if it needs to. So it's not quite re-roll ones for all the heavy bolter shots, but it's re-rolling at least one of those las cannon shots from each Razorback. Imagine you've got 9 Razorbacks, 18 las cannon shots. Pretty good, right? And actually, it's quite cheap to take a Razorback and put 5 Crusaders in it. And obviously, if I go down the regiment, the custom trait, I'm going to have to start looking at tactical Marines, which may not be as good. But even so, you know, a Razorback with 5 Marines in it, with double heavy bolter on the Razorback, and 5 tactical Marines, I think is 200 points flat. Just 200 points flat. That's not bad, especially if you've taken that bolter one and they're all inbuilt rerolling ones. Now, I'm not saying you spam that to the nth degree. You don't take 9 of those because you've got no anti-tank in that list. But 5 of those, that could work, right? That could work. So, my point is, guys, that we're playing around with things. I think Firstborn Mech Marines, is it top tier? Who knows yet? Probably not. Dark Elder is still incredible. But is it okay? Is it viable? I think so. I think it is at least a solid mid-tier thing. It's Marines at the end of the day. You can't go too wrong. Now, for the forward look for this week, so obviously today is Mordian Mondays. Tomorrow will be the regular battle report. Now, it's recorded. It's recorded. It's going to be up tomorrow, don't worry. It's going to be my Mordian Iron Guard versus my brother's Scholar Progenium, his own channel, go and check it out, all Dreadnought list. Now, it is a real bloodbath, that game. I highly recommend you go and check it out. And it's a doozy. Now, you know, just to get you guys hyped up for this, my brother's all Dreadnought list is currently undefeated in 9th edition. He's played, well, battle report with it. I think he's got 3 or 4 battle reports with it now. Unbattle reported, he has another 3 or 4 games. It's coming up to at least half dozen games where this thing is undefeated, and I took it on with my Mordian Iron Guard list. So yeah, it's a bit of a can the plucky guardsman deal with the relentless dreadnoughts. Is that list still undefeated? You're gonna have to check it out. Now it's a real spicy game. It's a bloodbath. It's a bit of a nail biter. So definitely check it out. Now, one other thing to say. So Wednesday will be the usual tactics video, and then Thursday will be the after action report. I highly recommend you check out the after action report, because it's going to also be a little bit of a channel announcement, a little bit of a. I've had a few games recently. I had 4 games of 40k this week. Okay, 3 2,000 point ones and 1 500 point with my orcs, and it's going to be a real doozy. This is the after action. It's going to be a bit of a declaration of war, even. So keep an ear out for that, because it's like I said, it's a spicy meatball, and it's also a bit of a It's going to be interesting. I don't want to give to it. No spoilers. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. As always, let me know what you've been working on and painting on this week. This is very much sort of the hobby chill episode that we do of the week. No episodes on Fridays anymore. Reason being is I often find the last episode of the week quite difficult to do in terms of the time. My Fridays are very, very busy, and also I was finding that no one's watching them. If I'm going to be totally honest with you, I looked at the old analytics, and the Friday videos, if they broke 1,000 views, you know, I was lucky, and the amount of effort and all that, I was flogging myself, guys. So I thought, you know what, let's take it easy. 4 days of concentrated good content is better. There's no point in putting out some bullshit Theory Hammer video if it's just a bullshit Theory Hammer video and if no one's watching it, you know. So there we go. And I think, you know, the views reflect that it was a bit of a bullshit video on Fridays often, so there we go. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and of course, I'll see you guys next time.